A while back, I was doing a series called Rising Artist, where I talked about artists that were, on the rise, and I miss doing those kinds of videos. It wasn't the most successful stuff on my channel, but I enjoyed that casual medium to recommend up-and-coming musicians that I really liked. That recurring theme of helping spread the word about singers and bands that deserve a bigger spotlight is the main glue that holds my channel together. So Zach from Twitter, here's an updated episode of Rising Artist featuring 3 indie rock musicians that I highly suggest you check out. Samia is someone that I've been listening to for a few months now, and her debut album 2020's The Baby is a project that has a ton of replay value. I can't get enough of it. With production that is distinct for each and every track, you're always finding new bits and pieces to love about it. I've listened to the record dozens of times, and I'm still impressed by the choices that were made. It'll be something like a drum noise that doesn't really sound like any drum that you've ever heard before, or a distorted bass line that's layered just enough in the background that you've always felt it, but haven't actually noticed it until months later. There's a big coming-of-age concept painted across the album as a whole, and it's fascinating to me that they were able to convey that not only through lyrics, but the instrumentals too. Finding the right bells and whistles to illuminate a sense of nostalgia must have been a difficult task, but what they came up with is pretty amazing. It's been a while since I've been this floored by an album in the indie rock bedroom pop sphere, where the production is such a major talking point. This might be a bit of a generalization, but these aspects of how they recorded all together, the depth of the instrumentals, the more unique choices for what sounds are being used, and how they got manipulated, we as listeners can get accustomed to all of this being very one note. So many artists in this space seem like they're making the indie equivalent of hip-hop type beats on YouTube. You get the Strokes type song, the Vampire Weekend type song, but when it comes to Samia and The Baby, dare I say she's doing her own thing. The opening track Pool comes off as ethereal and a little bit ominous. Big Wheel has a revolving door of techniques from different eras that all combine to sound like you're flipping through a photo album. It's this clash of youth and maturity that could have ended up disjointed and busy, but it actually works out in a beautiful way. Waverly begins with a vintage, very 80s dramatic mood, and eventually explodes into something much more contemporary and modern. Dark at night and sunlight in the morning. What makes The Baby really succeed, though, is the combination of Samia's graceful delivery with poetic, intimate lyrics. She has a great voice that always complements that exquisite production, and her words are meaningful from beginning to end. I think the hardest hitting storytelling is on the closing track, Is There Something in the Movies? Samia was born into the entertainment industry, with both parents having successful careers in film and TV. I know people talk about nepotism a lot and certain musicians starting with more opportunities than others, but if the art itself is good, then I don't really know what to tell you. The fascinating thing with this song is that we're actually getting the perspective of someone who's telling us the negatives of growing up around this business. Having money and easier chances to network is nice, but we don't talk enough about the psychological toll that growing up and looking behind that curtain must bring. In this third verse, Samia describes being a child and loving a stuffed pig that was gifted to her by actress Brittany Murphy. The next couple of lines of "I got it from someone who died of attention and lived an extraordinary life" is a heartbreaking, moving, poignant way to express what happened to Brittany Murphy, but it ties into the outro in a jaw-dropping manner. "I left you in life 'cause you don't need my pen to embellish your noteworthy parts. I only write songs about things that I'm scared of, so here, now you're deathless in art. You've got this and the movies and also my love. You can have it all, baby. I'm giving it up." These lyrics serve as a touching tribute in a very complex situation. Not only does it comment on the idea of celebrities leaving a legacy when they pass, but it also humanizes this specific person in a way that brings me to tears. Brittany was an actress that was loved by millions, but she was also a real person gone too soon that made a difference in Samia's life when she was growing up. It feels weird to congratulate an artist on the quality of a song that came from intense pain, but it's really, really well done. Samia is special.
Baby, I'm giving it up.
Next up, I want to talk about Joe Taylor Sikowski. He's the front person for the New York trio Dirt Buyer, who have a self-titled album that they dropped in 2019, and then Joe recently put out his debut solo album of Wisdom and Folly. Between these two different acts and projects, what I want to talk about in detail are Joe's haunting vocals and the mishmash of genres that we have on the table. The main genre that I would describe Dirt Buyer as is emo mixed with folk, and if you've heard anything like this before, I think you'll know just how oddly gratifying it is. Speaking from my own experiences, combining these two styles yields music that ends up being almost comically dark. Through vague categorizations, one could say that folk rock is about authentic storytelling, and emo rock is about extreme emotional expression. When you put those together, you're confessing the details of your life via tragedy. Imagine the unfortunate relatability of Elliott Smith and the passionate message of My Chemical Romance. It's kind of miserable in the best way possible. This idea continues with Joe's solo record, but we get a wider range of genres to base things off of. Instead of Dirt Buyer's consistent, slowcore sound reminiscent of a band like Duster, Of Wisdom and Folly extends to alternative country, old school singer-songwriter, some hardcore stuff, and so on. With that being said, what remains whenever we have Joe writing and singing are dark, clever songs that I think recognize how dejected they truly are. I get the sense that Joe's written enough lyrics and experienced enough pain that he almost gets a kick out of wailing the words to these melancholy tunes. The line between drama and comedy can be like two sides of the same coin. And while I completely acknowledge that yes, I do not think this music was made with people having fun as the end goal, that's honestly where I'm at right now. For one of the many possible examples I could give, Never Wanna See You Go is a harrowing anthem of grief that I find myself bopping and singing along to like it's I Think We're Alone Now.
Always here, you were always there.
Indigo D'Souza is one of the most consistent indie rock singers of the last few years. 2018's I Love My Mom and this year's Any Shape You Take are both high-quality, refreshing additions to the recent DIY pantheon. I'm not saying that the following albums sound the same, but I actually think Samia's The Baby and Any Shape You Take can make for a very cohesive double feature. I've been listening to these two artists a lot recently, and I find that there's a great deal of harmony between them. They're both somewhat genre-bending with refined production and themes of actualization flowing throughout. As I said before, The Baby goes more along the coming-of-age route, but Any Shape You Take clings closer to self-discovery. Both riveting in their own way, with plenty of connections to be made from one story to the other. What impresses me so much about this album is the level of catharsis that I, and anyone else I know that's heard it, have found within these 10 tracks. It's one thing to enjoy a record, but it's a completely different conversation when you really believe in it. Through way of bedroom pop rock and this fiery alternative grunge, she's created music that has a real sense of urgency to it. The pain on here is agonizing, the heartbreak is tragic, but most importantly, it's always genuine. The album brings these honest, dynamic songs about insomnia, death, love lost, mental illness, and more. It's a powerful experience that ends up being near transcendent. Most of my favorite lyrical moments are when Indigo is being very transparent and a little snarky. On Pretty Pictures, she sings about the harsh realities of love and relationships with I know when I am better off a friend. It's not what we wanted, but it's just what we get. The opening verse of the nightmarish Bad Dream hits like a punch in the gut. I had a bad dream. I called you at 3 a.m., and you were on the other side, the others left. I don't think I'm ready for a clean-cut kind of love, but I don't think I have a choice. I'm already gone. And then Kill Me is an earworm that's been stuck in my head since the moment I heard it. The track works like this hypnotic, corrupted lullaby that closes things out in a perfect way.
Kill me slowly.
Please be sure to check out these musicians and their albums, EPs, singles, whatever. With the world opening back up again, check to see if they're touring near you, and stay safe. Thanks for watching. Hey, thank you for watching that video. If you want to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media at RenshawHS. You can buy my merch, support my Patreon, and thank you again. I'll see you soon.